Welcome to Pop Flashback. So today we're taking a look back at the premiere of Columbo in 1968. You know, it's amazing how this one detective really seemed to change the whole game for TV crime drama.
Absolutely. And what's really interesting is that the Columbo we all immediately picture, Peter Falk, wasn't actually the very first guy to play him on screen.
Oh, really? Okay, tell me more.
Yeah, you have to go back even further to 1960. There was an episode of the Chevy Mystery Show called Enough Rope, and a character actor named Bert Freed played Columbo.
Wow, 1960. So 8 years before Falk. What was Freed's version like? Did he have the raincoat,
Well, he did have a rumpled suit, apparently, and he smoked a cigar, which became a Falk thing, too. But a lot of the specific mannerisms, that sort of unassuming but sharp quality Falk nailed, wasn't quite there yet. It was more like an early sketch.
It's hard to imagine anyone but Falk. So where did the character actually come from? The creators, Richard Levinson and William Link, they must have had some inspiration, right?
Oh, definitely. They were pretty open about their influences. A big one was Porfiry Petrovich from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment.
Okay, wow. That's a pretty highbrow inspiration for a TV cop. How so?
It's the method, really. Petrovich also uses this, psychological approach, acting kind of rambling and friendly to get the suspect, Raskolnikov, to trip himself up. Very Columbo-esque.
Yeah, I can totally see that. The politeness that hides a really sharp mind. Who else?
They also pointed to G.K. Chesterton's Father Brown.
The priest detective. That seems like a bit of a leap.
Well, maybe on the surface. But Father Brown's whole thing is looking past the obvious, understanding human sin and motivation, often by seeming quite naive himself. Again, that underestimation factor.
Right. But didn't it start as something else before even that first TV appearance? Like a short story?
Exactly. Levinson and Link first wrote a short story called May I Come In? Though apparently its original title was Dear Corpus Delicti.
Ah, okay.
And get this, the detective in the story wasn't even named Columbo. He was called Lieutenant Fisher.
Fisher. So the name came later. And that story became the basis for the Bert Freed episode, Enough Rope.
That's the one. And Enough Rope did something really important, something that became a Columbo signature.
Which was?
The delayed entrance.
Yeah.
The audience sees the murder happen right at the start. You know who did it? Long before the detective even shows up.
Right. The inverted detective story, or howcatchem, as they call it.
Precisely. It shifts the whole focus. The suspense isn't about identifying the killer. It's about watching Columbo slowly, methodically figure it out and tighten the net. You're watching the process.
Which is genius. Okay, so after the Bert Freed version, the story took another turn. Didn't it become a play?
It did. Levinson and Link adapted it for the stage as Prescription, Murder. It premiered out in San Francisco in 1962.
And who played Columbo on stage?
Thomas Mitchell. You know, Scarlett O'Hara's dad and Gone with the Wind, Uncle Billy, and It's a Wonderful Life. Huge character actor.
Yeah.
And sadly, it turned out to be his very last role.
Wow, Thomas Mitchell. That's fascinating casting. And the murderer.
Played by Joseph Cotten.
Yeah.
So, major talent involved even back then.
Definitely. So the play exists, Mitchell passes away. Then how do we get back to TV and eventually Peter Falk?
Well, fast forward a few years to 1968. NBC decides to make Prescription, Murder, into a TV movie, part of their Movie of the Week series. And glassing Columbo was apparently quite the process.
Well, who else was in the running besides Falk?
Two pretty big names were seriously considered. Lee J. Cobb.
Okay, I could maybe see that. Intense guy.
And Bing Crosby.
Wait, Bing Crosby, White Christmas Bing Crosby, as Lieutenant Columbo.
Yeah. Seems wild now, right? Maybe they thought his relaxed persona fit the unassuming part, but apparently Crosby turned it down. He was worried it would interfere with his golf game.
Seriously, golf?
Yeah.
Wow, okay, so Crosby's out practicing his swing. How does Falk get the part?
The director, Richard Irving, really pushed for him. Falk was apparently super enthusiastic, even though he was younger than Levinson, and Link originally pictured the character. He supposedly said he would kill to play that cop.
He must have really connected with it.
Seems like it. And that passion obviously came through. So February 20th, 1968, Prescription, Murder airs. Falk is Columbo, Gene Barry is the smooth psychiatrist murderer, Dr. Fleming, and boom, history.
And this is where it all clicks. The inverted format, Falk's portrayal.
Exactly. That TV movie locked it all in. You see the crime, you know Gene Barry did it, and then you just watch Falk, as Columbo, slowly circle him. It established the whole howcatchem style for a huge audience.
It was a hit, right? People responded well.
Big time. Big enough that NBC wanted more. They commissioned another TV movie, which became Ransom for a Dead Man in 1971, again with Falk.
Okay, so 2 successful TV movies.
And that led directly to the series. In September 1971, Columbo premiered properly, but as part of this rotating slot called the NBC Mystery Movie.
The Wheel Show. I remember that. It rotated with McCloud and McMillan and wife.
Right, that's the one, a different detective movie each week. And even in that lineup, Columbo really stood out.
And by then, all the iconic stuff was in place. The raincoat, the car, the wife.
Pretty much, yeah. The rumpled beige raincoat, which was actually Peter Falk's own coat that he just wore to the audition.
No way, his own coat.
Yep. That was already there in prescription. Murder. And his, slightly disheveled look, the unassuming questions, the references to my wife, it all started coming together right from that first Falk appearance.
It's amazing how those little details became so iconic. The unseen wife.
It just adds to the whole mystique, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it all serves that howcatchem format. You watch the killer underestimate this seemingly average guy, and you just wait for Columbo to pull out that just one more thing. Falk called him an ass-backward Sherlock Holmes.
That is perfect. He lures them in, makes them feel superior, and then bam, the little detail they overlooked.
It's brilliant construction, both the character and the story structure. That 1968 movie really set the template.
So quite a journey from a short story character named Fisher to the iconic Lieutenant Columbo, played by Peter Falk.
A fascinating evolution for sure. And that 68 premiere really was the moment it all crystallized and changed crime TV.
Well, this has been great, really digging into those origins. Thanks for walking us through it.
My pleasure. It's a great topic.
All right, thanks for listening to Pop Flashback, everyone. Remember to like and subscribe so you can catch our next episode. And maybe let us know in the comments. What other early TV movies or shows do you think really changed a whole genre? We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Good question.
Catch you next time.